So, Elliot,
Hello.
what if I told you, right, that Oskar and STYKO are on a team again, but it's 2025 and the rest of the pieces are dog shit?
I wouldn't believe you. In my head, Oskar and STYKO are still excellent players who could, make a team like NIP better.
Would they?
Does it not blow your mind that STYKO's never played for NIP? Just feels like he should have done.
Considering he played for a strange Cloud9 team. Yes, actually.
Yeah, it just feels like he should have played for NIP at some point in his career. It wouldn't have gone well. It just feels like he should have been there at some point.
I mean, we'll get to NIP in a bit, but it hasn't really gone well for a lot of people, has it?
Well, no, it hasn't. But look, Oskar and STYKO, they're on a new team called Inner Circle, who just pops up out of nowhere. It's all a bit suspicious. I think STYKO's addicted to getting. Oscar's addicted to just joining teams that he's obviously going to get scammed.
How long do you think it'll be before he's back on Sinners?
I think he'll retire in 6 months, to be honest.
Nah,
Whereas,
6 months.
I feel like he never. It felt
6
like he never
months.
really enjoyed playing Counter Strike anyway.
Goes to Sinners, then retires 6 months after that when they obviously don't make the major because they're just shit.
Yeah, like I have to say, Oskar is like remarkably decent still. Like I thought by now he would be like Guardian is. He's like actually okay still.
Isn't Guardian out of retirement? Didn't that happen
He
recently?
was coaching and then he stood in for the team, and I think he might still be playing for them.
No,
it's like KC game or something.
I'm pretty sure he is. It's BC game.
BC game. That's
Right.
it.
What is? Oh, Elliot.
He was their coach, and then he stepped in to play for them for a bit, and I think they keep him.
Elliot, mate, this is a fucking unit.
Yeah, no, that team's crazy.
Guardian, Jacob, Lekro, fucking Casanito, and some fella called Prime Taps.
Yeah, no, this was
which is a good name, by the way. That's a solid name.
No, see, me and Logan talked about this team, and I decided that Prime Taps is a terrible name. It's so bad.
No, I like that.
It's so COD 4.
Exactly.
That's not a good thing.
No, that was the prime of in-game naming conventions.
No. It was the prime of Call of Duty. You've just therefore extrapolated that the names that were in it were the best. That's not true.
Because the prime of Call of Duty was the prime of gaming.
Yeah, but not the prime of naming conventions. Prime Taps is terrible.
It's all part of it.
It's so bad.
No, it's all part of it. It's good, mate.
No, Prime
Right,
Taps
anyway,
is a terrible name.
anyway,
no
we're
idea
not-
if you can play the game.
Listen. We're not talking about a team that involves Guardian in 2025.
Average
we're talking
player
about-
age of 28.9, by the way, on that team.
It's like Falcons last year.
Yeah. It's even older, I think.
But there's a more important thing to talk about, right? Because this new team with STYKO, it's called the Inner Circle. And you mentioned the scam earlier. Do you reckon that's Chris J getting some people back together to create a new Inner Circle and ask them questions about pattern recognition and whatnot?
Redacted. This part has been redacted to protect the identities of everyone involved.
But it could be. It's at least worth looking into.
Look, I think Chris J has worse things to be doing with his time than this.
Like anything he's done on Twitter today. But look,
No comment.
Look, all I'm saying, right, is I'm not a respectable journalist because I wouldn't call myself a journalist. But if I was a respectable journalist, I'd certainly be
I
looking
wouldn't
into
call
who
you
the men-
respectable.
Moving on. If I was a respectable journalist, I would certainly be looking into what that inner circle actually is. I think it could be something nefarious.
Sounds like, yeah, I mean, it does sound pretty euphemistic, doesn't it? The Inner Circle. It does sound like a group chat Chris J's in. Let's put it that way.
I definitely do not trust it. But let's move on because that team's shit. Like, it is just terrible. And we shouldn't spend time talking about it.
Hang on. Krasnow's decent. That's all I've got to say. He's decent.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. Krasnov can
No,
play the game.
no, he's just a better version of Kios.
No. He's far better than Chaos. Like, far better than Krasnov at the start. I know it's the start of CS2 where even JT was good, but he was like legitimately amazing at the start of CS2. Krasnov, like he can actually play the game.
I feel like that's a lie. I'm fact checking.
No. He was really good at the start of CS2.
No, I'm fact checking. Right, that's bollocks. When did he get kicked from Monty?
Yeah, no, he got kicked from Monty because he was bad after that. But he was really good at the start of CS2.
No, still convinced this is a lie. Bear with me.
He has like 6 events in a row where he has 1.1s. I've just checked.
Alright, fair enough. Anyway, moving on, because I've been proved wrong. Fuck you. Let's talk about Bounty. So last week, only 4 games have been played by the time we were recording, or
something
like that.
We didn't talk about a lot, other than the fact that we liked the format, and I still like the format.
I think the format's wicked.
Format's been really good.
I'm glad that Blast changed to doing a second stream after the games, or it was the same stream. Whatever.
Yeah, like doing the draw, like the FA Cup.
So they actually did the draw, because the social media one for the round of 32 was naff, and it was just hard to keep up with. And for someone who had to write an article about it afterwards, was just a pain. I was hoping I could get it done straight away. No, it wasn't possible. So not much happened in the round of 32, like nothing I think unexpected.
The notable results.
But there are 2 things to talk about.
Yeah, go on.
Well, the first is Mouse Bet Boom, the second's Na'Vi Imperial, so...
I would say FlyQuest beating MIBR is notable.
No, that's because you hate MIBR.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about that.
I think
this is why
that is notable.
No, it's not. This is why that fella that was commenting on last week's episode is right. This is why we don't get along. Because you're a fucking idiot.
No, it's notable because it is an upset. Because MIBR are, a top 20 team and FlyQuest are Australian. I'm not saying we have to spend 20 minutes dissecting it. I'm just saying it's a notable result.
No, it's not.
Well, it is.
No, it's not.
Bro.
No, we're not talking about it. Right.
Yeah, that's fine. I just think it's
Mouse
notable.
Bet Boom or Na'Vi Imperial. Which one do you want to do first?
Let's do Na'Vi Imperial. I think that's the main story.
Right, okay. I don't know if you watched that game.
I watched most of it.
Okay. Do you think Na'Vi were taking the piss at the start of Ancient?
I don't think if they were playing Vitality, they probably wouldn't have played exactly as they did in this game. And you can take that to mean they weren't taking it seriously. You can take it to mean they weren't, they're obviously not going to come into the first game of the first event against an underdog and play it like their life depends on it. Nobody does. But I do think they pulled a few punches. Maybe that's bias. I don't know.
Well, because I was getting messaged by one of our friends who's recently started playing CS again and watching it again, and he was like, "Oh, is this just rust? And Na'Vi actually going to be bad this year? Like, what's happening?" And I was like, "Well, they're over rotating off the slightest bit of information, and they pushed 4 down mid as CTs on pistol. I don't think he's completely awful, but again, I don't think they'd do it against higher ranked opposition.
I think they'd only do it in a really high profile game or a game they weren't that bothered about. Against you do that against a really good team, it catches them off guard. You do it against a bad team because you think it's fun.
Well,
I don't think you do it against anyone else.
Yeah, and I think there's a chance that they were surprised they couldn't win, regardless of how they were playing. But they had to, change up a little bit to actually start winning rounds again.
I think the first half of both maps looked close, and then Na'Vi just decided they were going to win, and they did. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And I think not to be too disparaging, feels like Na'Vi could do that to any tier 3 team. Like, they could just decide to win, and they will just win. And I think people are playing up how close it was because I think they want it to be close. And score-wise, it was close. The first half looked competitive. As soon as Bit decided he was just going to multi-kill them, it was like, yeah, no, they've got a little way to go before they can challenge Na'Vi. But, like, there's a lot of teams in this tournament who would also have got 2-0'd by Na'Vi. So it's, you know.
I just thought of a joke and I can't say it on a podcast. Oh, well, doesn't matter.
That's disappointing.
That's one for our Discord messages later.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I enjoyed it while it was competitive. When Na'Vi decided they were going to win, it was as boring as I predicted it would be.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, because you brought up Bit, right? Bit is a fucking freak. Like, his aim. No, I didn't mean it like he's probably a nice fella.
no, I'm laughing because it is true. He's just a freak.
But he's a freak of nature in terms of his aim, right?
Yeah.
So Bit's probably not the best person for them to come up against, and that's nothing like, you know, the rest of the Na'Vi players can aim.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say I was like not impressed, because that feels
not impressed, disgusted.
That feels patronising. But I was surprised how they did seem to mechanically handle themselves a lot of the time. So there was a few incredible whiffs and just like really dumb plays. Like, I think it was Zaz was on for an ace clutch early on in Ancient, just jumps around the corner, not sure what she was doing. There was a point where one of them almost died because they just ran while spraying with an AK. Just some like really bizarre things that are actually just going to cost them against better teams that probably doesn't cost them an impact. But I'm now a lot more intrigued for them versus Furia at Kato than I would have been before that match.
So two things. One, Imperial are like quite clearly the most mechanically gifted players in Impact. Na'Vi Javelins were pretty gifted as well. I think there's a large gap between the second and third best teams in Impact mechanically. So if anyone was going to be able to stand up mechanically, it would be some of those players. I still think they're going to struggle. Secondly, Fallen took a show match seriously. I don't think he's gonna half-ass this game.
I'm not saying he's going to half-ass it, and I'm not saying Imperial are going to win, which they won't. But I'm intrigued as to how they do in a LAN setting where Fallen, you know, will 100% be taking it seriously because he is.
He does not want to get embarrassed. I think as well. This game is online, which does matter. Things happen in online that don't happen in LAN. And look, these women are experienced on LAN. They're experienced at winning on LAN. They're not experienced at losing on LAN, so it's going to be interesting to see how they rebound from that. But also, like, I don't know how much. Like, they can't really blame inexperience on LAN if things go badly. So, like, that they actually have to show like a good face here, because it's like they might not get many other chances this year if they do badly, given they went out. You know, they went out last. It's not really their fault they played against Na'Vi. They picked them, but you know what I mean. Like,
do they have any other events lined up after Kato?
I don't know.
I'm having a look.
So like they kind of have to.
No,
they kind of have to show a good face. I think if they don't do too badly, they'll get wildcard event invites this year, I think. But
do they qualify?
Didn't seem to matter, but
well,
I know. Blast said like, oh yeah, these are our criteria for the wildcard event invites, and then like there was only one team that qualified.
They will, unless they slip down the ranking a lot, they should get spaces in qualifiers. Like those Blast Rising events, I'm pretty sure they'll qualify for those.
And also the Impact again this year, so they'll carry on getting
I think the first Blast Rising must be next month because they go into Blast Open and Blast Opens in March.
Yeah, probably.
So
like they will have opportunities this year, but like if they keep losing their opening games, they won't get many. So they have to show a good face on LAN against Furia. Look, Furia are not unbeatable by any stretch of the imagination. They're not the worst team. Like, coming up against Na'Vi, you're not going to beat Na'Vi. Like, you're just not going to beat Na'Vi. Most teams aren't going to beat Na'Vi. Furia, you've got a shot at getting a map, at least.
Yeah. And I mean, there's worse teams they could have got at Cato. It's better. They could have had FlyQuest or MIBR. But there's certainly worse teams as well.
I'd like to see FlyQuest versus Imperial just as a sort of...
I would have liked to see it with Alistair. I think that would have been really good. Because I think Anna probably would have shat all over him. Because he is terrible.
We'll see. Well, we won't see. But I think... Yeah, I think people are playing up how good Imperial were and ignoring things that they wouldn't ignore for male teams. Is what I would say. That there are positives. There are also like things to look at and go, yeah, this isn't that. Like, yes, they sort of ran Na'Vi close, but as soon as Na'Vi turned up, it wasn't close, and it feels like. I just don't think if they were a men's team who were like 60th in the rankings, they would get this like.
No, they wouldn't. They absolutely wouldn't.
They wouldn't get this attention. That's my opinion.
No, they wouldn't at all. So let's talk about Mouse Bet Boom.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bet Boom have since made it to the playoff weekend, and we'll be playing with stand-ins there, which we'll talk about in a bit. Do you think that this stuff is an indicator that they might actually be all right? Or do you think it's probably just online bullshit?
There's, like, man for man, there's no reason this BetBoon team isn't, like, top 20. I think man for man, this team is excellent. And I thought that when they had Nafany, and Boomich is quite clearly a better in-game leader than Nafany. So there's no reason... And they've added Axile, who... Like, if you can get anything like peak Axile...
Which they seem to have so far.
Yeah, so far he's been excellent. You've got Magnajez, who everyone sort of knows as a bit of a talent. He's not like... When you think, like, teenage Russian talent, Magnajez doesn't really do that. Like, he's not like this mad mechanics, runs around shooting everyone, has no brain. He's actually, like, a bit smarter than that without being the... He's not Donk. He's more like Zontix, I think, style-wise. And then you've got Zorti, who's very, very fast. He's not always accurate, but he's very fast. Like, when Zorti's on it, he's really hard to play against. He's kind of a bit like Henny, where, like, you're not going to be quicker than him. You just better hope you find him in the open, and a lot of the time you do. Like, man for man, this team's really good. It's just they've had troubles with actually getting their performances out of their big players. Adding Axile helps. Not having Nafany helps. So on LAN, I can't wait to see how they perform with their new in-game leader. Oh, wait.
I do kind of hope that this team is like one that does all right across the year, though. Because no, I ain't been around here long, but on Twitter and previous podcasts, I've made it clear I'm not a massive fan of Axile or Shiro.
Shiro winds me up, but he's obviously good. It's just like
it's halfway a bit, but I just kind of do think they're both bums. But I've always quite liked Boomich. Yeah. Zorte's fun.
I think everyone kind of likes Boomich. He's just kind of a likable guy.
Yeah. And, the rest of the team is, they're likable. So I actually think, like, I feel like you're maybe being a bit harsh when you say top 20 because I look at them and I'm like, you should probably be top 15. And
I was
depending on
hedging
how
my
other teams do, you could probably push top 10.
I was hedging
A
it
few
because I
months of
hadn't
the
looked
year.
at the rankings, but then I've looked and MIBR are 14th, and they're definitely better than MIBR man for man. So
Yeah, it's a real shame about the playoffs.
yeah, so Boomic and Zorti aren't playing at LAN, which heavily nerfs this team because they're losing their AWP in-game leader.
Yeah.
In one fell swoop. Nafany stepping in, which is probably worse than not having an in-game leader. So...
Yeah, because Nafany is dog shit.
I used to quite like Nafany, and I think he has qualities. I don't think any of those qualities are to do with his in-game leading, but I think out of game he's probably quite a good leader.
Let's agree to disagree and move on. So the round of 16 happened. I feel like it's pretty safe to be said now that Spirit look like the team to beat early on in the year.
I will say, you wouldn't even acknowledge FlyQuest beating MIBR. Spirit played FlyQuest and eviscerated them, which makes me wonder, are MIBR even worse than I originally thought?
They might be. MIBR
didn't get a map off FlyQuest, and FlyQuest got 4 rounds of Spirit in a best of 3.
I mean,
4 rounds. And I wouldn't mind, Regali actually looked half decent, and they still got, like...
Donk did have a generational game.
No. Donk had what is a relatively normal game for him.
Not in terms of rating, but yeah, sure.
In terms of, he was playing at the same level he was playing for the entire major. He just happened to be against FlyQuest, so it looks better.
All right, fair enough.
Dexter, by the way, had a 0.25 rating in the best of 3.
Okay.
That is not very good.
That's generationally bad.
That is generational.
But out of the teams that you've seen, do you actually think there's any on Spirit's level right now? Because I'd need to see more from Na'Vi, and I think Vitality, possibly. If
Vitality, and I think I have quite, like, Na'Vi have still not dropped a map. I mean, again, they played Imperial, whatever conclusions you want to draw from that, I think it's impossible to draw any. They 2-0'd Astralis. I don't know how good Astralis are, but Na'Vi were pretty clinical, certainly on map 2. Like, it was pretty cut and dry. I think they're still top 3. I don't think there's really any denying that. I think the team who are most likely to beat Spirit in a one-on-one is G2.
Oh, I don't. We'll get to G2.
I don't know. I don't think G2 are great at the moment. I think they're more likely to beat Spirit than, like, Vitality.
When HeavyGod just manhandles Donk.
Yeah, HeavyGod just eats Donk. 2 bites.
Then Chopper defends his son, claiming him for his own meal.
Chopper tries his venom and Snax eats Chopper. You see that quote from Snax about HeavyGod, by the way?
Finally, he's like, I have a player that eats as much as me.
Yeah, and it's like, great. Yeah, no.
He just can't argue. He does not care about Counter-Strike at all, man. He just wants to travel to places and eat their food.
If you're going to call yourself HeavyGod, you're opening yourself up to that, I think.
Definitely.
It is a good name.
It's a good name.
They're also Snax is also named after, some sort of eating, so they just open themselves up to it. But yeah, no, I think G2 they got a bit upset on Twitter about HOTV calling them unconvincing. They were wholly unconvincing.
They were incredibly unconvincing.
And Malbs is unbelievably good. He's so good.
Malbs is good. But off what we've seen so far, think he might need a bit of time to be Nico. Before they played,
we'll find out when they play against each other at the LAN.
Before they played, I'm just ignoring you because we haven't got to that bit yet.
No, I'm foreshadowing.
Okay, cool. No, but before they played, I did kind of think Malbs would just like slot into the Nico bit seamlessly, and it just feels like he's not quite there.
I will say I watched the first map against B8 and then stopped watching.
Wasn't that the one where he absolutely cooked?
Where he was the best player in the world for that map.
Yeah.
So and then I've looked and he seemed like he was decent in the second game as well. Well, I think I watched one of the maps.
Yeah, no, he was perfectly solid, but I just I don't know, there's a certain something that is missing, and I can't really place my finger on what it is.
Is it Nico from playoffs?
Yeah, Elliot, we'll get to that. All right, mate. you're ruining the plan here. No, maybe it's some sauce. You know what I mean?
No, I really don't.
Maybe it's some raw
no,
sauce.
I'm sorry. You can tell within about 5 minutes of watching a player whether or not they have it, and Malbs has it. He just has it.
Do you know what though? Malbs has it in game. Not sure he has it out of game.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think that's going to be the problem.
But then Nico was like chubby when he was Malbs' age as well, and then he became like the Terminator.
But there was that video of him in a club, and I know you know which video I mean because you started laughing slightly, and that was Aura.
What you're referring to.
That was Aura. I won't find the video. Because I've tried many times.
We won't. We will not be playing it in this part of it. Yeah.
However, if the editor finds it, feel free to overlay it over our faces because
don't do that. We might get in trouble.
Yeah, probably, but it's fucking worth it for that video. It is definitely worth it for that video. It's up there with like Alu's balls as
Alu's
CS
balls is
history.
like the fact that that's on Twitter. And he's never deleted it. He's brilliant. He just one day decided he was going to tweet a picture of his balls, and has never taken it down.
I respect it.
I have no Has anyone ever asked him why he tweeted it, or does nobody want to know? Do they just want to keep the mystery going?
I'm pretty sure he'd behead whoever tried it.
I don't think so.
No, I think Alu is like serial killer.
No, I think he's just Finnish.
No, but you say that right, but like Jim Fat's fairly nice and Alexi B's really sound. Alu is just Alu, man. He's a serial killer.
I feel like Jim Fat hates everyone.
If it came out in a news piece that gamer eats his young, and then I click on the fucking article and it's just Alu's face.
Snax and HeavyGod. And they were eating mouths. Monacy
is just crying in the corner, knowing that his time shall come. But no, like if Alu ate a baby, I wouldn't be surprised.
Pretty sure you can't say that.
No, I probably can't. But this is the honesty hour.
No, the scariest pro, hands down, is not even pro, retired pro, is Blade. Blade scares the shit out of me.
Blade's actually
he
not
could
scary.
beat 9 pandas.
He's actually not scary in person. He could because he would outsmart
them.
No, he's not. Like any time I've interviewed him, he wasn't scary. Fucking Rain is. Rain stares into your soul, man.
No,
like
I won't talk to Blade because he scares the life out of me.
Nah, he's all right, but Rain, I tell you, man, you spend 5 minutes interviewing Rain, he knows your deepest, darkest fears and all of your desires. Like he's interviewing your mind without.
There is a word. I don't know what the word is, but there is a word that kill switches Blade. That he just turns into like a super soldier. there is a word. I don't know what it is.
We should
back to Blast Bounty.
Yeah, back to Blast Bounty. Vitality, right? Messi had a decent game against whoever the fuck it was. Who did they play second?
Second game.
Virtus Pro, yeah. And Rops has looked decent, looked very good against
Metasport.
Who cares? Zywoo, group stage Zywoo especially.
Group stage online Zywoo.
I did want to talk about Flames though. He has not had a good start to the year.
No, I mean, again, we're drawing conclusions for two best of threes that are online, but it's not
best
great.
of threes that are online against one bad team and one team that I think we both said we expect.
Yeah, but like
bad.
Even Dexter dropped to 0.25 in one of these. Like, it does happen. It happens to the best of us. No, I mean, yeah, no, it's obviously not good. I mean, he's having to adjust, right? Because he's being moved into slightly better roles from what although they did say Rops would have a lot more playmaking ability than Spinks had, I think, so, or more of a voice than Spinks had, whatever it was Apex said. So they're clearly changing stuff in game, and I think Flames is struggling to find his spot.
I feel like Spinks was always meant to have that because there was that interview with Apex not long. Was it not long before Paris, or was it after they won that Pro League? No, because they won the Pro League when he first joined. Maybe it was like just before Paris or something, where Apex said that he told Spinks that he didn't sign him to be the Spinks that he's been on Vitality, and he signed him to be the Ents Spinks. So I think Spinks was meant to do that. He probably just decided that he day like him. But yeah, I when they signed Rops, I was kind of thinking that Flames would be obviously even better, and he'd become this aggressive star of the team. That's not really happened so far, and I think Vitality could consistently match Spirit if it does happen. So I think it's probably one that we'll end up talking about again in a couple months' time.
Yeah, I think you're higher on Flames than I am generally anyway.
Flames is... Yeah, but you've got a bitterness against Flames.
He played for OG. I can't rate anyone who played for OG.
No,
did he play for OG?
Yeah, so did HeavyGod.
Yeah, I don't rate HeavyGod either. He played for OG. I can't rate him. Simple as
that. I swear you like Keita.
Yeah, ironically.
Right, okay. Is that like AZ?
No. AZ was like legitimately like world-class mechanics. He could just didn't turn it on all the time.
Yeah, he's just Danish Keto, mate.
No, that's harsh.
No, it's not.
That is harsh.
No, it's true.
AZ legitimately has some of the greatest plays in Counter-Strike history. So
does XMS also has one of the greatest plays in
XMS has one of them.
And
AZ has like
XMS
5.
Garbage. No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
It's the Pistol Ace, the 1v5. There's a 1v4 on Dust 2 as well. It's insane. Like, he has like insane clips. Like, you know how like if you look at Olivier Giroud's like reel, it's like if Olivier Giroud shows his grandchildren his goals, they're gonna think he was like
Elliot,
Messi.
Mate, at the end of the day, you made one of the greatest Counter-Strike players I've ever seen on Overpass with a scout.
Yeah, that is crazy.
There's even me shooting you in the back of the head. You're still dog shit.
I'll send it to the editors and we'll put it in here. It's crazy.
You're still garbage, though.
I'm not with a scout. I'm world class with a scout.
All right, fine, but you are bitter towards Flames because of Dupree.
A little bit, yeah. But then they haven't won a major since they got rid of Dupree, so you know.
Yeah, and what's he doing now? Where's he in Blast Bounty?
Chilling with his 5 medals, probably.
He's on the fucking desk.
Looking like Thanos with 5 rings.
He's on the desk, mate.
Yeah, he's got a ring for each finger.
He's been really good on the desk, actually.
I do not watch the desk.
Unfortunately, I have to, and he's actually, he was good. He was better than Vu. Vu constantly seemed like his sentences were just stopping. And you just hear this strange sigh. And I think someone in production had told him he was talking too much.
That is possible.
It was very bizarre at points.
I have a great story about Vu, because he worked an event, one of the first events I worked at, DreamHack, and it was his first event, and it was during COVID, so he was doing it remotely, and he was up from like 3 o'clock in the morning his time, and the last game with like 16 hours later, and during the game, because we could had a because we all had to have the camera set up obviously so they could put it in, and he was
Oh, he
fast
just started
asleep.
jerking it.
No, he was just fast asleep,
right.
and they were like production was shouting "Voo, Voo" down the mic to try and get him to wake up.
Do that.
What do you mean? Have to wake him up?
No, did you have to do that? I've got fucking headphones on. It was quite loud.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll turn that down, production. No, they shouted "Voo" down the mic at him to try and get him to wake up, and he didn't. So they had to start the next desk segment with 2 people that eventually woke up.
Did he join it mid-segment?
I think they put him in for the next segment when he was like more awake.
Fair enough.
Like he'd been awake for like 20 hours or something, so he was like, I did feel bad for him, but he fell asleep during one of the games.
All right, let's talk about some other upsets because we keep going off on tangents, and it's because we really don't get along. We just don't like talking to each other.
It's because Vitality beat Virtus Pro, and I'm like, okay, yeah, of course.
Yeah, just who's asked? Right, upsets. So the round of 16 started with Heroic beating Liquid,
which is a good, very good result for Heroic.
Really good result for Heroic, especially because their top fragger was Sunpius.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is the most reassuring thing I've seen, because after that first series, I was very concerned that he would be the worst player on the team.
Yeah. So we've learned that he's better than Ultimate.
Now, you know my thoughts on Ultimate, mate. And, yes.
Yeah, but this is the sort of team Ultimate should be shitting on, to be fair.
Yeah, it is.
We've also been quite critical of JKS, and he kind of shat the bed. He was kind of bad.
To be fair, I'm not actually that critical of JKS.
It's not critical of him, it's critical of his position on this team.
It's just, he shouldn't be on the team. And
he shouldn't be on this team, yeah.
That is kind of... was my point with bringing Liquid up yet again was, imagine if they had a real IGL.
Yeah.
It'd probably be quite good.
The fact that Linus has turned his career around to the point where we're calling him a real IGL, and when he's beating Liquid, is remarkable, honestly. Because that guy did not.
It is impressive.
I didn't think he looked like he knew what he was doing when he was on NIP, but fair play to him. He's turned his career around.
It is impressive, but
it is remarkable how much better players who leave NIP are.
I do hope that changes now, though. I do really like their new team.
Their new team looks good, but everyone who leaves immediately gets better.
I don't want to have fear for Snappy.
No, we like Snappy on this podcast.
Yeah, he's a good bloke. But, yeah, I mean, I still have no idea how good this Heroic team is, to be honest.
It's like, if Sunpius gets back to his 2023 level, 2022 level, this team is top 15 easily, top 10 maybe. If he doesn't, it's a who cares team.
But if they get absolutely banged out in the quarterfinals, I won't be surprised. And I mean, not a contest at all.
Also, with Heroic, it's worth mentioning Tina Turner, the Belarusian guy, won't be there for the playoffs. He's got visa issues. Nilo, who they've signed to a long-term deal, has got basically a personal issue, is what they've said, and he will be their long-term fifth, but they don't know when he's going to be playing, basically. So because
he's also got to fight his way into the team, which I'm not sure
which
how
seemed
that
a bit
works.
harsh. Seemed a bit harsh, given you said he signed him for a long-term deal, but whatever. So Madden's standing in for them, which is it's kind of fun, actually.
Yeah, I do quite like that.
Madden, he's not doing anything. His time on Falcons does not count as far as I'm concerned. He's a soldier.
Is it not in your canon?
No. Look, would he be better than JKS on Liquid? I think yes. He's a soldier. He'll go in first for him.
No, he actually would be. Yeah, I'm all for that. Now, I'm more for the team I suggested with Norbert and Jane.
Yeah.
But if I can only have one, then Madden solves the issue.
Madden is a soldier. Now, if they had an in-game leader to tell him what to do, he'd be even better. But that's by the by. But
Right,
yeah,
so
Dick was sort of heroic.
So that game happened. Payne then beat FaZe.
I just don't. FaZe are so garbage. Like 90% of the time.
Well, they didn't
They're so rubbish.
They were always fucked though because they didn't have a lower bracket.
Yeah.
But
they're so rubbish most of the time.
I
They're
feel
just
like
so good on stage. It
I do
pisses
feel
me
like
off.
it's too early to write them off. I still think they could have like a massive few months within the next 5 or 6.
They're still going to win an event. They're probably still going to make the major final, but they're rubbish.
There's definitely reasons to be concerned for Rain. There's a lot for him to have to change because of Elige, and whether he'll pull that off is yet to be seen. I do hope so, though, because when Rain is actually firing, obviously I know that the former AZS, maybe the current AZS, was not Rain's biggest fan.
Eco Fragger.
But when Rain is firing, he's pretty fucking fun.
Yeah. There just happens to usually be at USPs.
Okay. Davideus has looked... I think that's how you say his name. I don't know.
Davideus.
Yeah, whatever.
Davideus.
He's looked quite good so far for Payne.
He's a good player. He was solid on 9Z as well.
So I actually think Payne are probably up there with Bet Boom as like the two teams that have emerged as like the teams to watch from this event. Maybe Heroic as well, actually.
I have fallen for the Payne trick too many times. I will not be suggesting they are better than 14th in the world ever again, because every time I do, they let me down.
But they are certainly better than MIBR.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Spirit dumps at FlyQuest, Na'Vi beat Astralis. And now the one you've been looking forward to.
Yeah.
Falcons Eternal Fire.
Yep. Look. Magisk. We need to have a... We are going to start a dialogue. What the fuck was that, mate? What the fuck was that? That was like... It was like a poor Magisk tribute. Like, that was Magisk's boy. That was not Magisk. That
was Magisk in some bar in Ibiza.
That was Magisk, like, at the end of his tenure on North. That was not... that was Magisk's boy. That was not Magisk. That was... as much as I like to rag on Nico, and I will, Magisk just... Like, the real problem here for Falcons is that Magisk and Nico were both bad. And that cannot happen if the team is going to be good.
Yeah.
It just can't happen if the team's going to be good. Like,
I mean, that is
you're relying on those two.
Like, I feel like we both like Eternal Fire, and neither of us will take anything away from them, and we probably both think that this game would and should always be competitive. Yeah. But at least I would expect that it's a game that Falcons should come out on top of.
I think it's closer to 50-50, if not marginally in Eternal Fire's.
Maybe online.
Well, my thinking is that Eternal Fire only changed the one player, and it's going to be pretty like for like, whereas Falcons have changed the whole core, so it's going to be more difficult this early on.
But Falcons haven't changed the whole core. They've changed 2 players. They signed a core. Is what you have to consider.
Fine. They signed it, but then they also changed coach in that case.
Okay.
They signed 2 players and a coach.
But
as you mentioned, it's online, and Shantaro's peaking online is crazy.
Okay, the online is a big factor, but what I would say is I think that this is a very
rubbish.
I was going to say wobbly, and then I went to say worrisome, and I got very confused between my words. It's a worrisome scoreboard for Falcons.
Like, Magisk was just not there. And again, it's online, awful. So whatever.
Nico was also just not there.
Yeah, he went he went 3-14 against Jantares in heads-up duels.
Tesses continues to prove that he is the best player in Denmark now.
Texas is so good.
Which is hilarious, because when MSL plucked him out of, I don't know, some playground in Copenhagen...
I actually think it was a Face-It pug. I think it was a Face-It pug.
It was that, or a playground in Copenhagen. Or fucking... What was it called? That barbecue place? Maybe they just met him there. Maybe he asked for a photo.
War Pigs.
War Pigs. Great place. If you're ever in Copenhagen, head to War Pigs. Maybe you just met him there and Tessa's asked for a photo. Yeah, Tessa's really good player. Actually just surprised me. Really happy for the bloke.
So, Tessa's... I've said this before, and I think you'll probably agree with me. Tessa's, when he's on it, is like one of, if not the best players in the world. When he's on his peak, he literally just stands in mid and kills everyone. Like, he's actually just like he'll just have these halves where he goes like 20-3, and he's unplayable. And nobody else does it in the same way.
I also think he has the best highlight of the online era.
Is it the triple spray transfer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's crazy.
That is the best highlight of the online era.
It's one of the best I've ever seen.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, he is a mechanical demon with no ego. He's like my perfect player.
He could continue to improve so many teams. And Falcons...
It's such a shame he has to play with bums like Nico.
Falcons are very lucky to have him.
Yeah,
then we had...
Well, they're not lucky. They paid a fortune for him.
He's worth that, though. They're lucky that they can do that.
Yeah, fine.
Bet Boom then beat Furia. I don't care. I just don't. Vitality beat VP.
I would have cared a lot more if we could see the full Bet Boom lineup on LAN. I think that would have been...
okay, yeah.
Like, because Bet Boom started... Like, this event looked really good. I know it's on... I want to see what they do on LAN, because I like this team. All that win comes out to sales is like, that's a shame.
Yeah. Vitality in G2, we've spoken about.
G2 were convincing in their win over Big.
Incredibly convincing.
As long as they ban Ancient, they might be okay.
And that's all I have to say about it. But seeing as Bounty will be done by the time we speak again.
Yep.
I would like to know who you think is going to win the event. And I have a feeling that if I count us down, we will say the same name.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say something else just for the sake of it, but you have to be mad to not pick Team Spirit to win it at this point.
You have to be borderline insane.
I do think there's a non-zero chance Na'Vi win it.
Yeah.
They beat Spirit a lot last year. And I know it didn't happen in the major, but...
I'd say the same for Vitality as well.
Yeah. I don't think are going to higher chance.
I don't think any other team stands a fucking chance.
Would you... If I said to you, you can either take Spirit or the field, who do you take? So you can have any of the other 7 teams win, or Spirit win, which do you pick?
Any of the other 7?
Okay. My point is, do you think Spirit have over a 50% chance to win?
Oh, you were asking me, like...
Yeah.
I wasn't sure whether it was, what would I prefer?
No. Who do you, like, if you were betting, you have the choice
of
either Spirit or any of the other 7 teams.
I think it's like fucking 70% Spirit, 10% Na'Vi, 10% Vitality. The rest can take...
I don't think it's that high.
However much.
I think it's like 45 Spirit.
Remember, that lands in the fucking studio in Copenhagen. There ain't no people there. There ain't
so
no worry for anyone.
Pop off.
Well, he might do. But there ain't no worry for any of the Spirit players. Not that I think they'll have any worries now.
No, they don't care anyway. Like, they just won the major.
Like, I don't think teams have a fucking chance, to be honest.
I don't know. I think it's more like 45. I'd probably take the field.
Nah. Right, so with that, let's move on.
In with a shot.
Eternal Fire rebuild. Not again. So let's move on to our take of the week. This week we've got a beautiful take coming from Draken.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get this up so I can reread it again because it's pretty mental.
So Draken came back to Counter-Strike and played for Johnny Speeds, which I just don't care about that. But what I do care about is that he sent an incredible tweet, an open letter, if you will, to his former organisation, Ninjas in Pyjamas, which I will now read for everyone's enjoyment. Dear NIP, it's truly crazy how you have been under construction for the past 7 years without any progress, still stomping your head against the wall to get this mediocre international lineup to work. Sure, you have had good players, but there are so much more fundamentals to CS, especially when you don't have great players. Not really sure why that's in capital letters. This international concept has made you crazy, and Fret speaks publicly that there are so few Swedish talents. I beg to differ, and I will show you.
Right, pause. What the fuck is he on about? They've been international for a lot less than the last 7 years.
Yeah,
they
I
were
thought
Swedish for most of that.
I thought that.
And, like, him moaning that they don't have great players. This team hasn't been international. They were Swedish for a long time and they were still shit.
And
That's
remember,
not the problem.
And remember as well, there was a point where they almost became competitive again.
Yeah.
Almost. But unfortunately... No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
He's put great in capitals to really emphasise you did not have great players. Now, carry on with what his next sentence is.
I'll get there. No, I'm not going to say it. I'll get to it now. You had the chance to pick up my Johnny Speeds lineup, and you could have even kept Rez. We barely practiced and had a coach 50% of the time, and look where that got us.
Right. You didn't have great players. You could have picked up my Johnny Speeds lineup and kept Rez. We don't even practice. Great. Thanks for coming. Idiot.
We don't even try. Imagine what we could do if we tried. Will you try? No, I have never tried. I am Draken.
Yeah, like
Lord of all the authors.
You've already been on and you weren't like I've backed Draken as a player for some reason. But I liked him as a player, I'll be honest with you. I thought he was better than a lot of he was better than a lot of people thought he was.
I don't think he was good as you thought he was. I definitely don't think he was as good as he thought he was.
No. As his biggest fan, his second biggest fan, he's nowhere near as good as his number one fan thought he was, which is him. But like, I'm all for some NIP bashing. If there's anything you know about me, I'm all for some NIP bashing. But my issue with NIP is definitely not they didn't sign Johnny Speeds when they had the chance. Somebody in the comments says, you guys couldn't even play at grid tournaments because half your team was flagged for matchmaking, and he called it a corrupt and racist scene.
I will say, away from that point, because we'll also get to that in a minute, I like that your biggest issue with NIP is something actually to do with NIP, and my biggest issue with them is that NIP fans are the only fans in esports that refer to their organisation as we.
I did it with
like
North.
People are doing football. Yeah, but
I did it with North.
You did it as an ironic football bit. NIP fans do it seriously.
Semi-ironic.
This is why we don't get along. So Draken ends his tweets with, anyways, had to let off some steam. Everybody knows I'm speaking facts, and you need to get off the Delulu pills. I'm live every day on Twitch. You can catch me there. Bye. Right.
Yeah, that says
first
it all,
Draken,
doesn't
mate.
it?
Yeah, first Draken, mate. I don't know that you're speaking facts.
It says it all that I'm live every day on Twitch.
Second.
Why is that then?
Yeah, do some fucking practice instead. How about that? Fuck off. Right. To continue with Tier 2 shitters, let's talk about the seeming collapse of Tier 2, because who would have guessed this would happen? Did I expect it to happen so quickly? No, I thought maybe it would take 6 months to a year for the Tier 2 organisers to back the fuck out. Valve basically creating this system themselves and probably inevitably creating a more closed circuit than we had before.
Yeah,
is quite impressive, and was always going to be what happened.
I mean, I brought up that they shouldn't get rid of all these qualifiers and they shouldn't do invite only because it just stops other teams being able to have a chance. You're just gonna, and everyone just like nobody listens to me even when I'm right. So
I feel like when the Valve changes were announced, it was probably me, you, and Harry that were their biggest criticisers out of anyone I saw on Twitter. And yet no one listens. Everyone was like, "Oh, but we've got our open circuit back. It's so good now. All these partner systems were bad." Meanwhile, they had no idea how ESL's partner system worked. They thought every event was purely ESL partner slots.
Yeah, which it
wasn't. It wasn't at all. And now look what the major is.
Yeah.
The major is the most closed it has ever been.
Invite only is possibly the worst thing that can happen to the Counter-Strike circuit. I honestly thought Valve's worst change to CS2 was going to be MR12. But no, this one is worse. And it's killed the Tier 2 scene. The Tier 2 scene did a good job of killing itself as well with the whole... So they come out, they had a blacklist of players who people bet on weirdly. And it's like, I'm sure some of them were dodgy, but having your own...
They certainly weren't all dodgy.
No, exactly. It's like, you could be put on there because somebody bets on you, and that's not your fault.
But the entire thing was incredible as well, because it was literally like, oh, but you played one game with this person back in 2017, get on the blacklist.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like, teams like Monty, who...
They were on the blacklist for a long time.
Yeah, who then just somehow get off it and other teams can't. Like,
well,
why are they not
Monty
still...
got off it because they were so good that CCT had to start inviting them.
But it's bullshit. Like, the entire thing is bullshit. And, you know, like, fuck CCT for having this blacklist, but also fuck Valve.
Yeah, well,
for getting so involved. Like, I said this in the TLDR Discord the other day. I remember when we were all really happy that Valve were not involved in our esport. I remember when we were constantly berating Riot and Blizzard and Activision for what they'd done to COD, what they'd done to Overwatch, what they'd done to League, what they were doing at the start of Valorant when they enforced the VCT system on everyone. We used to be so happy that as were just left to TOs and that Valve would occasionally be like, guys, you have to play this map now. So what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Was it that bad in the last 2 or 3 years? Did I live in a bubble of actually enjoying it?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like, and then being retroactively told, no, actually CSGO was bad and you're misremembering it. It's like, I was playing it, like, I know how good it was. I was playing it every day. Like, I know how good the game was. You don't need to lie to me.
When I wasn't playing it, I was fucking watching it, and I was writing about it. Like, the thing was virtually all me and you did for like a year.
4 years for me.
Longer, but like the year that we started doing it together and working together. Like,
it's like yeah, exactly. And then they make a new game.
Which is bad.
Worse. I wouldn't call it bad, but it's worse.
It's bad compared to CSGO.
Yeah, it's a downgrade on CSGO. It's probably still the second best game ever. The CSGO being the best.
It's not Football Manager.
Well, yeah, I mean that's only because I had a hand in the game. But no, like it's still brilliant, but it's just worse than CSGO. It's caused all these issues. They then fiddled with the map pool and made that worse. They've changed maps that people liked and generally made them worse. They've fiddled with the system and now they've killed the tier 2. They've made the major invite only so that like to ruin stories like Bad News Eagles. Like it's all just annoying changes for no reason.
Do you know what fucking blows my mind about the fucking tier 2 shit as well? Is that, like, you know that Star Wars meme? It's like, this is how democracy dies, to thunderous applause. It's kind of it with the tier 2 scene as well, because literally 2 days before, you have people like Messioso and other people being like, well, I hope Valve are going to enforce these rules. in the first month of their new system. Why aren't they enforcing these rules? Why are they doing all this? 2 days later when they do it, and all of these tournaments are no longer ranked on VRS, and all the teams are backing out, and half of them are being cancelled, they suddenly start fucking moaning.
Yep.
Like, fuck you. You helped create this. If you think you fucking didn't, and when you're there moaning in a year's time...
Well, Complexity are going to be really affected by it when they fall out.
Oh, they're going to be fucked.
Yeah.
So I hope that all these people remember their fucking place in it.
Yeah, they won't. People never do.
No, they won't. They'll just moan.
This isn't a dig at anyone in particular because I haven't seen these things you talk about, but like...
No, it's not overly a dig at those people. They're just people that I remember.
Yeah.
Like, it's the usual suspects of like STYKO and Messiosa. They're always gonna say these type of things because they care about the rules, and people should care about the rules. It's not
the rules should just be better.
The rules should just be better.
Yeah.
And the issue should never have been that these rules weren't enforced. It should have been that they were in place in the fucking first place.
Yeah, exactly. I just... It is a real shame when you think of some of the great major stories. And I'm not talking about, like... to me, the great stories are when teams like Bad News Eagles make it through off the... like, with just the shirts on their back. Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't have an org, they had nothing, and they just made it through sheer force of will. I'm talking about Vega Squadron, QBF, like players
Ecstatic in Copenhagen.
Ecstatic. Players like Boomich would not have the career they've had if there was no open qualifiers. Boomich was a nobody who was on a QBF team. He wasn't even the in-game leader of that QBF team, if I remember rightly. And he
I think he was by the next
enough.
Major when they were winning.
Yeah. He impressed enough where he eventually got onto Na'Vi.
Where Zeus
wouldn't happen.
Zeus handpicked him as his replacement.
Yeah. He wouldn't have had a career if it wasn't for these open qualifiers. Someone like Boomich just wouldn't happen. Chopper just won a major. He wouldn't have. His career wouldn't have happened. Vega Squadron came through an open qualifier and beat NIP.
No,
the great NIP.
And it's so stupid though, because you'll still get all these fucking CS fans being like, well, at least it's not Valorant, at least it's not... Motherfuckers.
It's closer than it ever has been.
This system is closer to fucking VCT now than it ever was last year.
Yeah.
And then it definitely ever was before Go.
Yep.
Well, before 2 even. This system is now so close to VCT because most of your lands, if not all of them, are going to be populated by the same teams because... And it will only depend on where they sit in the ranking. Because if you have a 16-team event, congratulations, it will probably be the same 16 teams every time. And the only way it will change is if there's a 24-team event. And one of those teams manages to outperform a team in the lower end of the top 16 and gets himself a place. I don't get how people aren't completely outraged by everything that's happened.
No, because unfortunately, people believe the sort of niceties and euphemisms about it being a more open system, and they just take at face value what Valve are saying or what people are saying on it, and just accept that what's happening is what they're being told. But the truth is, when you have a 32-team event, 30 of the teams are invited on their ranking, and the other 2 are wild card, which is still somehow to do with their ranking. That's as close a system as you can get. That's not an open system.
Yeah,
you need open qualifiers in this game.
That's like the Valorant kickoff tournament that happened last year.
Yeah,
that's all that is, and that's all Bounty is effectively being. So,
if CCT ceases to exist for we can talk about how them having the blacklist being bad, whatever. How is somebody like Johnny Speeds? How is a team like that ever going to move up? Without tournaments like that, how do they even get to a position to get the higher Valve ranking?
Well, in the last, if we go back to just before Paris, right, which was like Paris was, the underdog major.
Mm-hmm.
Game Elysian, Monty, Apex, Nine, probably ITB, like all of these teams were playing events like CCT that will now cease to exist.
Yep.
Because it isn't worth them existing if they're not VRS ranked, because teams won't fucking play them. They don't get anything out of playing them. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, no, you're right. Like that. Like what? How does a Game Legion or an Apex or even a Monty? How do they get to a position to be top 8 at a major? Now, how do they do that? If these tournaments, like especially somebody like if you're blacklisted from a CCT already, or if CCT systems exist, there is no pathway to the top that there's always existed. Half of the teams are in the top 20, top 32 now. Somebody like Eternal Fire who grinded their way through tournaments like that, they just can't do that. That pathway just doesn't exist anymore. So surely they have to look at it and go, how is somebody going to repeat what we did? How is somebody going to do what the Mongols did last year?
Yeah, and I'm not going to click about to double check this, but I'm pretty sure, like, in this new system, Passion UA wouldn't be at the major if the new rules had existed. Like, there probably is what I'm forgetting, but genuinely, like, what was the last change Valve made that was good? Because in my opinion, it's probably been a string of bad changes ever since they announced that they were ending the partner system.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, they also announced Counter-Strike 2 after that. So I am including that.
The last good decision they made was
remember.
fixing Pika's advantage.
Which isn't completely fixed.
No.
It's a long way. It's not completely fixed.
Yeah, but that's the last good decision they made.
But that's not like updates aside.
But that is also fixing a previous mistake.
Yeah, but updates to the game aside, like purely the way tournaments runs, the way the ranking works, the way the major works, what was the last good change they made? Because genuinely, I think it was bringing Anubis into the map pool.
I don't know if they fixed Ancient after that, but yeah, probably bringing Anubis in.
Yeah, it might have been after that. But
taking Vertigo out.
Okay, fine. Like Vertigo out for Train, fine.
But then again, that's fixing a mistake.
But again, like this
and Train isn't ready.
And Vertigo should have been gone fucking years ago. It's a fucking terrible map.
Inferno's also still in, so
and it probably would have been gone years ago had COVID not happened.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the reasons why it did outstay its welcome. So, honestly, like, fuck Valve and fuck what they've done to this game, because now it's just going to be a partner system without any of the benefits the partners were getting previously. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a franchise system in all but name, again, without any of those benefits. And this system is worse than the old ESL system. Maybe it's not worse than the old Blast system. I don't know. I quite liked the way Blasts work, and it pretty much enforced that we'd always have like really good teams at an event with pretty reasonable stakes that some of them would go out.
But
in a disappointing
I don't
fashion.
Like that. I mean, I've been pretty vocal about
that.
Yeah,
but you
I don't
you
like
underdogs.
enforcing.
You like underdogs more than I do.
It's also more that I like the teams to prove they're the best teams by beating these plucky underdogs. Like, how can we know for sure that FaZe are the 5th best team in the world if they didn't play like the 10th best team in the world?
Fine, but if I've seen them do it the event prior, I don't care.
We
have enough events.
You never see that at FaZe. That's the FaZe don't do that.
We have enough events that I don't care for shit like that. And Blast have addressed that this year.
Yeah, that's why I like the new Blast system. I think the new Blast system actually gives everyone a fair crack. I think everyone actually has a fair crack.
And then it rewards the top 8 teams at the end of the season, like World Final used to.
The most hard done by team in the new Blast system is the team who's 17th ranked, because they have last pick.
They have first pick.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I thought it was 32nd as first pick.
No.
Oh, okay. In that case,
picked first.
In that case, I think it's pretty fair.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I really am now a bit worried for the future of Counter-Strike, because I really struggle to see how the tier 2 system is going to be sustainable. If that's why, fucking big orgs were backing out of Impact, why would smaller orgs not back out of Counter-Strike?
Yeah.
Why would someone we're a Fnatic right now? We're a Fnatic. Fnatic are 29th in the world. They are out of the invite range for so many fucking tournaments, and they're not always going to go through a qualifier. And if they do, they're not guaranteed to have a great performance. Why the fuck should Fnatic, other than the fact they've presumably just spent some money, continue to commit to Counter-Strike when they already make bank off Valorant?
Yep.
Well, they probably make money off other games as well.
I don't understand
commit to this game?
I don't understand how the team that's currently 80th in the world has a pathway to making money. I don't see it. This doesn't make sense to me.
They don't.
Which is only going to make the match fixing problem worse. But that's a topic for another day. We're already well over an hour, so we should probably wrap this up.
Match fixing in enjoyable local lands.
Yeah.
Right, so with that fucking rant about how Valve are slowly killing Counter-Strike over, guess it's time to call time on this one, as you said. Next week we'll talk about the LAN, Full Bounty, and how Spirit won the event. We'll probably have a little bit of a look at Kato as well, because I believe it starts the day the next episode will go out.
Yeah, something like that.
But in the
I'm working
meantime,
Kato, so
oh, actual employment. That's good for you.
might have to record on Monday.
That's all right. But in the meantime, I've been Sam. He's been Elliot. Our Twitters are AZESC and Animo CS2 with a 1. There's a fella called James. There's a fella called Mac. I still can't be asked to learn which way round you do things.
You probably should. James H. Serpa. Let me find Mac's Twitter for you.
No, they don't deserve Twitters. They're not fucking hosting.
Yeah, they do.
Who do they think they are?
Well, I can't be asked to edit, so...
No, but we'll just hire some other dickhead that doesn't have an ego to require their Twitter being shouted out.
The irony of you saying somebody else has an ego is astounding.
Go fuck yourself. You've ruined this fucking outro here.
Good.
It was going well.
Good.
This is all for you, Mac. We do appreciate you. No, we really do. It's just I personally think you should know your fucking place. Clearly Elliot thinks otherwise. It's his paternal instincts already kicking in.
Yeah, gotta defend my...
Right, have you found it yet, mate? Because I'm fucking bored. And
No.
Have you given up?
Yeah, go on.
Right, because I was going to do... You've ruined my bit now. I was just going to cut you off as soon as you started saying it and just end the recording. But with that one, see you later.